when we talked about Van Epps Park and Heritage Park over the last 2 years, we had images of the mayor bringing all these liquor bottles, putting them on the table to kind of kick it off. There was this image of a woman taking a swing against a fellow patron here at one of our parks. Then there was actually an image of one of the people visiting the parks falling off of a picnic table because he was so inebriated, and it was really just not a very good reflection of our town, and it was certainly not a good reflection of our parks. We love our parks in Sioux Falls. We cherish them. We've been awarded nationally for our parks. But yep, there are times where you have to, deal with some folks who maybe don't appreciate them in the way that we do. We're here to talk about just kind of what's happened over those last couple of years when we did have those challenges. And I think we're very, very pleased to announce that we made great progress. Kind of give you a little flavor. We have used a very, very proactive approach, and if you're in sports, we've used an offensive strategy versus a defensive strategy when it comes to Van Epps Park, Heritage Park, Tower, and yes, all the others in our city, and it's worked. Chief Burns will tell you more about that offensive strategy. Don will tell you about the impact that ultimately it's made. But I just want to give you a little flavor in terms of how serious we've taken this. We actually count the number of beer bottles that we find, the number of beer cans that we find, the number of liquor bottles that we find. We actually count those now in those 3 parks. And media, we'd be happy to share those with you, and you can get a flavor for, how that's going. But maybe more importantly, even just the liquor bottles and the beer cans that we find, we've really focused on some other things, and that is the number of issues that we've had, whether it be an assault or someone, trying to hurt somebody else, or yes, having someone being incredibly drunk or something like that, where we've actually had to bring in folks to support them. But I think the main key, our main indicator of success, has been the neighbors. These are neighborhood parks. These are city parks. These are open for everybody. And it's been very, very rare, at least this year, 2016, that I've had anybody call me concerned about their parks in our town. And I think that's the real success story. And if you don't believe me, which I hope you do, but if you don't, go engage the neighbors, because it is a different story in 2016 than it's been in 15 and 14, and for that we'll celebrate. And so I'm going to turn it over now to Chief Burns, and he can give you a little flavor of just how our team, our police team, many of who are here today, whether it be on bike, on foot patrol, in a car, or an ATV, just how we've been tackling it. Chief Burns.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an important day, and it's important for several reasons, but it's chiefly is because you look back here and you don't see some of the problems that we've had in the past that we've tried to address in the past couple of years. We measure success in the metrics that we see. We know that our call volume's way down at Heritage Park, at Van Epps Park, and at Tower Park, and our citations are down. The enforcement actions we've had to take because we've focused on these things. Our arrests are down, and we have all those numbers we can share with you. But again, these things don't happen in a vacuum. This happens because we had a proactive effort here, because we worked together as a parks team with the police team, with community development, and we engaged the neighbors to find out what are their concerns. And because when you really want to tackle a problem, that's how you do it. You just don't work in a silo. You engage the resources you have. So we're very proud of the results that we've seen. We don't take it for granted that it'll stay that way. We know we've got to keep on this problem. We've got to keep making sure that we're looking for violations, that the quality of life, that improvements that we've made here in the various parks that we've targeted, keep that way. And I just want to thank Don Carney here, the Parks Director, for working with us and his team working with us to make this a reality.
Thanks, Chief. I certainly appreciate the cooperation that you just referenced. We spend a lot of time maintaining our park grounds. We mow them, we trim them, we water them in some cases, we fertilize them, we plant flowers. We do all those things that make it very inviting for people to be able to enjoy our park system. But really none of all that matters if they're not safe, if they're not inviting, if people don't feel secure in our parks. And so I think in the case of these downtown parks that we're talking about, really the efforts through the police department and our operations staff trying to help feed the police department information to provide them with the best information they can have to really know where to spend time and effort in order to monitor and make sure that the parks are safe, that they are inviting for our entire community to enjoy. A little more background on that is that we meet with the police department every Monday morning at 10 o'clock. We sit down and talk about what happened over the weekend. We talk about what do we have coming up, where do we need to distribute resources so that the parks and the special events and all the activities that happen in them are really focused. We focus those resources in those areas. And this is just another example of that where we've, with the mayor's support and leadership, really focused on making sure this problem doesn't come back in these parks. And I know the chief and his team has spent a ton of time really monitoring what's going on here at Van Epps Tower and Heritage Park. And I can tell you that when you drive by, you see people having fun in the park, you see them enjoying the park. You don't have the same issues that we've had in the past. We don't have people fighting. We don't have people drinking when they're not supposed to be drinking. And they've really done a great job. And the other piece of information that is really unique to Sioux Falls, especially in a city our size, is that we have 4 dedicated officers just to our park system to really monitor what goes on in them and make sure that they're checking in on things. Because again, if people are doing things they're not supposed to be doing, they're breaking the law, they're violating rules and regulations, that means somebody else that isn't doing that isn't having a great time.